Hugh Thompson. Hugh Thompson is over there in the Vietnam War. He's a helicopter pilot. Hugh Clowers Thompson Jr. So this Hugh Clowers Thompson Jr., he's a Georgian. He's a Southerner. So a Southern, let's see, a Georgian. He's Hugh Clowers Thompson Jr. He's a soldier. We all love the troops, right? Both Democrats and Republicans love the troops. But with the My Lai massacre, you had that goddamn William Calley. William Calley fucking killed them all. Basically killed them all except for a dozen or, so. Hugh Thompson stopped them at the very end. But only at the very end. Only at the very end. And then there's a massive cover-up, and then Hugh Thompson is going to get just creamed in the media. He's going to get death threats. He's going to get dead animal carcasses thrown on his porch. Congressman Mendel Rivers, a Democrat from South Carolina, said the only person that should be punished for the My Lai massacre is Hugh Thompson, the hero for turning his guns on his fellow troops. The My Lai massacre wasn't the exception, it was the rule. So Hugh Clowers Thompson Jr. is a fucking goddamn badass. After William Calley and his fucking troops, his men, basically killed 347 to 504 innocent Vietnamese people in a village, Pinkville. They said, oh, they're Viet Cong. Are they? No, they weren't. Not a single Viet Cong was found amongst them. But how many Viet Cong do you think was created because of it? Jesus Christ. If you lived in that area and you just heard that, all of Antonito or all of, Lahara or, the whole village was wiped out. Just the whole village? The whole village. Should alarm you. Could be your village next. Well, shit. We need to sign up for the Viet Cong. So, Hugh Thompson, what happened? He comes at the very end. And he sees a 20-year-old woman. Her name is Nguyen Thi Thao. T-A-U-T-H-I-N-G-Y-E-N. Nguyen Thi Thao. I tried. So she was shot in the chest. Hugh Thompson's a helicopter pilot. He comes to the My Lai massacre, and he didn't know what was going on. He saw a 20-year-old who needed help, and there was like green smoke and not red smoke, so it was safe to approach. So they approached, and they saw this 20-year-old Vietnamese woman who was shot in the chest, suffering, barely alive, and Captain Medina goes over to her, kicks her, and then shoots her point blank, finishing her off. Straight up murdered Nguyen Thi Thao. And then that's when Hugh Clowers Thompson Jr. and his crew realized that it was the Americans, the American troops who were killing all these innocent people, who were wiping out this Vietnamese village for no goddamn reason whatsoever. So there was a conversation. The conversation between the two is actually incredible. Maybe I can pull it up as, there's a conversation. The conversation is this. Hugh Thompson goes up to William Calley and he says, what's going on here, Lieutenant? William Calley says, this is my business. Hugh Thompson says, what is this? Who are these people? William Calley says, just following orders. Like a Nazi piece of shit. Hugh Thompson, orders? Whose orders? William Calley said, just following Hugh Thompson, but these are human beings, unarmed civilians. Unarmed civilians, sir. William Calley, look, Thompson, this is my show. I'm in charge here. This ain't your concern. You take that conscience and you fucking bury it. Hugh Thompson, yeah, great job. William Calley, you better get back in that chopper and mind your own business. Hugh Thompson, you ain't heard the last of this. You ain't heard the last of this. So, get back in that chopper. He got back in the chopper. He sets the chopper in between the U.S. troops fired upon the villagers. While that argument was happening, when they were killing 80 children in a ditch, you had William Calley's men who was still shooting. Oh, yeah, Hugh Thompson, you think you're a badass, huh? Pow, 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 pow. Right? So that's what a fucking Nazi does. Hey, Nazi, don't you kill innocent people. Boom, boom, boom. I just killed 5. Now what you gonna do, motherfucker? So Hugh Thompson, he did what he thought he could. He did his best. He takes the helicopter and he sets it in between a dozen Vietnamese people and the U.S. troops who were killing them, and saved the dozen. They fly off. He needed to get some fuel. As he flies off, there's a body. Bodies of mutilated, a pile of mutilated bodies, and they find a boy in the pile. And the boy is named Doba, D-O-B-A. Two different names. D-O, one name, first name, B-A, last name. Doba. So they saved Doba. They wasn't able to save Nguyen Thi Thao or the people, the 80 kids in the ditch, but they're able to, Hugh Thompson saved 12 and a 5-year-old boy. He saved a dozen Vietnamese people at the scene, and then he's going to save a 5-year-old boy, Doba, as he's flying away. So that's what happens. Mendel Rivers sets, Mendel Rivers, the congressman, a Democrat, right? They're supposed to be the liberals. And the fucking liberal, what did he say? The only person that should be punished for the My Lai massacre is the hero? Here's a song, I don't know who wrote it, but I like the cadence and the rhyming couplets, and it's about Hugh Thompson. Hugh Thompson was a pilot, just like many more, fighting for Old Glory on a far-off foreign shore. He was on a lethal mission, only one of many, following his orders to kill the enemy. He flew low above the village, searching for the foe. When he saw a wounded child on the path below, he thought this to be a sure sign that the enemy was near. So he radioed for backup, and more choppers did appear. "Help the wounded," he cried out, "and beware of an attack." And then the child died by a bullet through her back. And when he looked around for the culprits of the scene, it was a company of men in U.S. military green. The dead were in the hundreds, strewn all around. In this place called My Lai, which once had been a town, there was a hut of huddled children. Soldiers had them in their sights. Hugh decided at that moment to fight for what was right. "Train your weapons on the GIs," and his copter crews obeyed and stood among the children, tattered and afraid. The whole town had been murdered, but for some kids and widowed wives, and Hugh Thompson made sure that those remaining would survive. It was a 15-minute standoff in a knee-deep sea of red, amidst the moaning of the dying and the silence of the dead. Hugh Thompson was a soldier, and he served his country well. On the day he saved the lives of a dozen kids in hell. It says created December 1998. Copyright David Rovics, 1998. R.I.P. Hugh Thompson. R.I.P. Hugh Thompson.